Okay, everybody. Thank you for getting on the call this morning, and thanks to everybody who was able to make it out for the training yesterday. We got a lot of good feedback, and I got a lot of good information out of it. I hope that all of you did as well. So we're going to start this morning's call reading the numbers as we always do. So first we have Joe R. with 1 application for 768. We have Jennifer C. with 2 applications for 1,368. We have Claudia C. with 2 applications for 2,262. We have Sarah Z. with 3 applications for 2,873. We have myself with 3 applications for 3,310. We have Chris H. with 5 applications for 4,661. We have Dawn T. with 3 applications for 6,120. And Chantel tops the leaderboard this week with 9 apps for 12,164. That was an awesome week, Chantel. And let's see, that gives us a team total of 33,526, total of 28 applications, so that's 28 families helped and 8 riders. Okay, and just one second. Okay, everybody, thank you again for getting on, and today we are very fortunate. I'm sitting with Chantel, and we have our very own Senior Vice President, Dominique Rogers, on the line. So, Dom, thank you for taking time to pour back into our team.
Absolutely. I thank you guys for having me on. And one thing I want to say is that this is I really love to see you guys coming together every single week, and talking about and teaching what you know about the business, having guests come on. I've seen some of the lineups that you guys have had, and your intensity and what's the word? Intentionality behind your trainings every single week is a direct result of your meeting in Raleigh on Thursday. Because, and when you see the people coming in, the excitement, the relationships that are built, because this business and life is about relationships. And you guys have built relationships through life insurance training and getting better personal growth, and it's showing. So I just want to say I'm proud of both of you guys and your whole team for what you guys are doing, and really just taking this thing by the horns and saying, hey, I'm gonna lead this thing. Does that make sense? So I appreciate you guys more than you know. Today,
we would not be here without what we've been through with you, and I think that's the purpose of this entire call. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? It's funny. It's funny because I look around, and we've been here. This is the 8th year at Family First, 5th year at Family First Life. And, just we kind of get caught up in, everything that's coming out, new changes, and, you're trying to grow. And I don't say we forget what it used to be like, but I think sometimes we forget to communicate what it used to be like. So I really wanted to, and I know we were talking last week, and we've been talking about different changes and things, and a lot of these, when you're talking about growth and building, building new agents up and getting them profitable and confident in this business, you really have to think back to when you were in that position. All right, and not only think back into where you were in that position, but how do I communicate? So we want to take some time tonight, or this morning, to really just, give you some insight of what it looks like. Because, sometimes, you see Sean Mike and you're like, whoa, but I saw him 8 years ago. And I think, I saw him 8 years ago on what it looked like in his office, and it was like the size of my son's bedroom. And he had his desk in one side. But now we see this big office. I was out in Atlanta, and where they started at. Like they started in Mike's basement, and now they just bought 2 buildings, you know, in Atlanta to really run this thing. But I think one thing they always talk about is what it used to look like. And Chantel and Paige, I got you guys both there?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, great. I want to start with Paige. Okay.
Okay.
And we kind of go back and forth. If anything comes up with you guys, feel free to, you know, bring a memory in here. But I remember, Paige, when you were part-time, you know, very much part-time, and you decided that, hey, I'm going to, I want to go full-time, but I don't really know how. Right, and we were talking about, you know, different scenarios, what that's going to look like, you know, and at that point in time, right, Freddie was still working, you know, and
yep.
at that point in time, it was a desire, it was a want. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and it sounded nice to, hey, let me go full-time insurance, and you know, and you took some time off of work. Right, and tested it out. It worked, and then you went full time. And I think, but I think we think when we say, hey, if we went full time, that means that I went full time successfully. And I think, and I know that you can articulate what that looked like, and some of the, you know, struggles you went through during that time in order to gain that confidence, because you guys may know Paige, all right, and I don't act like I know her, all right, but we've talked a lot. I remember at the very beginning just being, you know, very, you know, unsure, not too confident, and now today you see this person who's confident, you know, leading meetings, running calls, and it makes me smile. But I want you. Can you kind of articulate what that looked like, and you know, some of the thoughts, and maybe, you know, maybe you thought, hey, this isn't going to work or anything like that, but can you kind of articulate what that looked like, that first transition, part-time to full-time, and really how that looked? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I do remember very specifically, and I mentioned it in our training yesterday about how I took a week off of work and pretended to be a full-time agent. And it went really well, thank goodness. The funny thing is, also reflecting back, I remember we used to, as a team, have a call with Sean once a week, and he interviewed me one week for that, talking about going full-time. And he said, so the main thing that you don't want to do is stop working. And I remember thinking when he said that to me, it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. Like, why would I stop working? I'm just now going full-time. Why would I stop working? He goes, so when most people leave a job where they have to clock in at a certain time and they have to clock out at a certain time, and now they don't have to, they are just kind of like, oh, well, I'm my own boss, so I don't, you know, today I just don't feel like working, so I'm not going to work. Or today I feel like sleeping in, so I'm going to sleep until 10, and then I'll start working. And he goes, don't do that. And I was like, no, I won't. And the funny thing is, that's exactly what I did. You know, as soon as you get in charge of yourself, sometimes you become the biggest problem in your way. And I certainly did that, 100%. That is one of the biggest things I remember about going full-time, is that I told Sean, no, I won't, and then I did it. Do you remember that, Dom?
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about, you know, it's not cool that you didn't go to work, but you recognized it. Really fast, you recognized it. Does that make sense? And
yeah.
A lot of, and I think, Paige, you know, a lot of us as agents, we try to avoid the problems, you know, but they're going to happen. But it's about how fast do you make adjustments. Does that make sense? And you made the adjustment, okay? You made the adjustment, and, you know, let's kind of follow up with that. Buying leads, you know, well, it's not like buying leads today isn't like it was in 2016. Is that fair to
say? 100%.
Okay. Every lead was how much?
Oh, I don't even remember, but it was less than it is now, but it still seemed astronomical.
Look, every lead, there was only mortgage leads, all right, and maybe and then we had some direct mail final expense that were like $50, and then all the mortgage leads were $60. All of them, and you had to get brand new ones. Remember that?
Yeah.
All right. So, and at that point in time, you know, we had to figure something out, right? And I think some people, like our agents, are kind of timid to maybe talk to their manager about a situation that they're in. And one thing I loved about working with you is that there was no surprises. If it was, hey, this is where we're at, but here's what I'm willing to do. So I remember we had that conversation, and, you know, and you told us what you were willing to do, which was, I'm willing to go to work. All right, there's no problem at all. This is my financial situation. Here's the thing. But I'm willing to go. All right, and we worked something out, and you took hold of that and really took it to the next level. As in, can you talk about why you capitalized on the lead program and how you capitalized on it? Does that make sense? To really become independent and take over your own business.
Yeah.
Do you think have you ever talked to any of your agents? You think this is new for a lot of them to hear this?
They have not heard this. So, and I think what you're referring to, and please correct me if I'm wrong. So when I did go full time, we were still in a financial bind. And I was not able to buy, or let me just put it like this, I wasn't willing to buy the lead myself. So, Dom, you were exceptionally patient with me, and you worked with me on leads. And if I remember correctly, for a while, not a long while, but probably longer than we should have, you paid for my leads, and then I paid you on Fridays. So I had to pay you every week, and I did, but I didn't have to pay per lead because that scared me to the point that I was absolutely paralyzed. And you were patient and understanding and willing to literally, I guess no better way to put it than to hold my hand and help me through that process until it was finally like, okay, so you realize you're making enough money that you don't need to pay me on Fridays. You can just pay for these as they come in, right? And I was still hesitant, but I was like, yeah, you're right. Is that what you're referring to?
100%. You know, and you know, but I bring that up, Paige, is because we all have fears, right? Like we have fears inside, and it doesn't make one right or wrong, but we have to be able to work through them together, all of us. But you communicated it. Does that make sense? And it was a very, very probably humbling thing for you. Does that make sense? And what you did to build your confidence up in that scenario, or in that situation, really catapulted you up to, you know, a top producer, you know, and that's you who did that. Yeah, we were patient, and you know what I mean, trying, you know, just do it. But you know, when you have a good heart and you genuinely going out there and making it happen, I don't think there's anything that you guys wouldn't do for any of your agents. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah,
now,
it does.
Now be clear, Paige, if you were lazy, you weren't picking up the phone, you weren't calling, you know, we weren't communicating during that time, different story. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Totally different story, right? But it was showing that, hey, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna meet halfway. But the second I'm going 60 and you're going 40 is the second I'm out. Does that make sense?
Right.
And that never happened. You know, so that's exactly what I was referring to, because I think a lot of us need to, like, you know, kind of, you know, not think that, oh, well, they just, you know, you just understand, like, I don't know what it's like to have $300. Be clear, I know what it's like to have $300 in my bank account and be in business. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean I know what it's like? You know what it's like to be driving around in appointments and go, whew, if these leads come through tonight, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Well, yeah, and, even, wow, I hope I have enough gas in my tank to get home.
Exactly.
And,
Look,
I'm working with agents right now who are biting their nails doing the same thing I did, 100%.
Right. 100%.
Been there, done that.
Right, but look where you are and look where you're going. But look how you can expedite them getting out of it. Does that make sense? Now, it doesn't mean they're not going to go through it. We're all going to go through it. We're going to go through stuff. Everybody has their stuff. But how can we guide and give perspective through that, through your own experiences? Does that make sense?
Right.
So, Chantel, I got you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Dom.
Now, Chantel, when you started, this was 2016, is that right?
No, 2015.
15, okay. 15.
January 2015. Yeah.
Okay, January 2015. Okay. Kind of before that, were you licensed before that, or licensed January 15?
Licensed January 15. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that so for your first 5-6 months, would you say you were committed?
Nope.
Why?
I had been out of the work field for 11 years. I was distracted because my daughter and I got in a car accident and we had to do physical therapy 4 times a week. Plus trying to manage. So it was a transition period for me, being a full-time stay-at-home mom, transitioning back into the work field, and I just wasn't full-time committed, for sure.
Gotcha. What happened? And I think, and the reason I ask you that is because there's an agent that's listening to this right now, maybe in the future, that maybe right now isn't their time. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep.
And I think that we can all, we all have our different times and how we're going to start and how fast or whatnot. But I think once we all commit to it, it happens just like that. And I don't think Paige is after she committed, and it happened just like that. And it is one of those things to where once it just clicks, and not even just clicks, once you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So what made you, okay, what was going on that made you say, hey, I understand I got a lot of stuff going on. No, I understand I just got out of the work, stay-at-home mom for 11 years, but I got to do this. What happened to make you go, I got to do this, and I'm going to do this?
Yeah, so it's kind of a 2-step. I can think back to 2 pivotal points.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, when this became real, and not just hey, I'm trying to make money, was in October. I had gone to see this client, and she was a widow. She lived on a huge property, which every relative I think she had lived on that property. She had a college son living with her, and we went through. She was a bit of a challenge. She had some health issues. I did risk assessments, found her coverage, but her son was upstairs sick in bed, and he could not join us. So I ended up leaving there, not writing a policy. And when I called back, the son thought she didn't need it. So I decided to just let it be and to try to go back, the next time I was in her area. So I called back, I think it was about 2 weeks later, because I was going to be back in the area to see if I could stop by. And the son, I asked for her, and the son was the one that answered the phone, and he said, who's this? So I told him, and he said, my mom is dead. And my literally heart sunk, because he was in college. He had no money. Every relative relied on that property.
and I really had no idea how that family was going to manage. So that changed things for me, that I realized I wasn't strong enough to push her through, even though she knew she wanted it and she knew she needed it. 4 days later, she got in a car accident and she was dead.
Right. Do you mind if I interject right here, because I believe when that happened, do you remember how much you were selling a month at that point in time?
Like almost nothing.
Okay, like that's okay. So I just want a perspective, okay? Because at this point in time, I remember it couldn't have been no more than like $5,000 a month.
Oh,
okay.
I think $5,000 would be very optimistic.
Well, hey, you said it, okay?
Yeah.
So, but the reason because this is you're on this call right now. When you get out there in the field and start meeting with folks, there's things that are going to happen out there. And it wasn't just, that's just another client that she didn't close. Like, no, this is, we're out there really trying to make this thing happen. But trying and being confident and strong in the home isn't the same thing. Everybody's out there trying. See, you were trying at that point in time. Is that fair to say? Like, I'm trying. I'm going to try. Like, I went out there and, it was just very, very, kind of just let's just go through the motions. I remember you used to believe everything that the clients told you.
Oh, yeah.
They're
going to call me back.
Yeah, I remember we'd get on the phone, right? And this is all like, you're selling $30,000, $40,000, and people are like, well, really, Chantel did that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, and I did it too. Okay, I did it a bunch. I probably did it more than both of y'all put together. Okay, but it's one of those things to where you got to get out there and see enough people for that to happen. See, you had activity, right, which led you to that client. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, were you strong enough? Nope. Were you confident enough? Nope. But attitude and activity will lead you to good things. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Right? Now, and then the confidence will come, that attitude will get stronger, and you get a little chip on your shoulder, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I remember you used to be like, yeah, Dom, they're gonna give me a call back, and then there was a lot of those before that lady died, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is not just a one-off. There's a lot of those before this lady dies. So it's kind of like this example here. It's like, well, the first person who did any type of major surgery, brain surgery, first person who got chemotherapy or radiation, they probably died, right?
Yeah.
Like it didn't work out for them. But now we have doctors, we have brain procedures, we have people getting different hearts, we have different people getting different organs, and it's all because somebody took a shot, somebody tried something, somebody was trying to get better at something to help everybody else. And I think we slow down so much on trying to, I guess, make every scenario great, okay, that we're so afraid just to make a mess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to make a mess in order to save a bunch of people. You're like, well, I messed up that one. I know she had this one, then a lady died, but now she's selling $30,000, $40,000 a month. I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying do that. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yep.
Because that's the only way you can get there. One other thing I want to kind of, what I remember, and if you guys have any memories, please throw them out there. I know we're running tight on time. But I remember when you start running appointments, right, you get leads and you think everybody's going to be home, right? Like, I don't think there's anybody who thought the day was going to be as perfect as you were, Chantel, if that makes sense, okay? Like, the day was just going to be perfect, okay? I remember you had your lead. You're like, well, okay, I'm going to be in North Raleigh, and then I'm going to go over here to Wendell, and then I'll come back down over here. And I'm like, wow, she really has a plan. Like, this is awesome. Like, she is going to just, like, knock this thing. And then you had, like, 4 appointments. And I was like, wow, okay, all right, that ain't going to. You're like, well, you got to book more appointments. And can you kind of talk about how your perspective changed on things being perfect out there in the field?
Yeah. So, it's so funny now because now I see this, right? Like with agents, and I'm just, and they don't believe me. I don't think that like I did this. Like you're trying to sort through all your leads. I call it paper pushing. Like, you come to the office to dial and all you do is push paper around for a while instead of like just picking up the phone and calling people. And I used to like arrange them all. Like, okay, here's this city and this city and this city. And I'm going to like work it all out that I'm going to travel in this perfect circle, thinking that everybody's going to pick up the phone, everybody's going to book an appointment, and it's just going to work out. And then, like I said, I get like 4 appointments. So, yeah, I used to think like, I remember way back, Dom, like you gave Paige and I think it was 40 leads. Okay. And I remember Paige coming over to my place and we're going to dial. And we had it all figured out. Like we were on a high. Like we were going to be rich.
We were loaded with leads.
We were loaded with leads. We had 40 between the two of us. Okay. And we were going to go and we were going to book a hotel and we were going to stay overnight and we were going to run all these leads and we were going to make so much money. And we booked 1 appointment. Like Paige would call them, and if she didn't get anywhere with it, I called them, and vice versa. I mean, we worked those leads like Dave Anderson. We took those leads, we crumpled them up, we squeezed the shit out of them, we dripped every piece of like anything out of those leads, and we really thought we were going to do something big that day. But we didn't. So
we were sitting right here where we are now.
Yep. Anyway, so it's so funny. But I'm getting off track now, losing my train of thought.
No, look, you know what? No, it's the reason is because it's great to think about this stuff.
Yeah,
it is. And I hope those who are listening on this call are, are really, taking this in and really looking at their business and where they are right now, and what are some of these things that they're going to be looking back on and laughing at, because at the time it wasn't funny at all, right?
I know, and you know what the thing is, Dom? Like we were saying in training yesterday, like where we were back then with leads we hardly had any. Like getting leads was not like it is today.
No.
We didn't have hardly any vendors. There just wasn't much. So when we got 40 leads, we thought we hit the freaking jackpot.
Yeah.
Whereas
I remember it was a really big lead sale, and Dom, you bought everything in North Carolina. Half of it was to the west of us, and the other half was toward the east, and we were gonna make a trip one way and a trip another way. We had these grandiose plans. We were on our way to VP with those leads. Let me tell you, we were there until we started dialing.
Right. But it's all about the process and the journey. You know what I mean? And like when you look back at it now, it's hilarious. At the time, you're scared. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's funny now, but it was scary then. And scary to the point of like, you want to challenge yourself, you want to rise up to the occasion. But failure happens, and it's like, how do you respond to that? I got one more thing, and this should be quick, okay? So Paige, when I remember when you were having a really, really hard time booking appointments, not booking appointments, but booking appointments to where you were the boss. I mean, like you were the doctor. Like,
Yeah.
I remember you had appointments at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., and 6 p.m. I'd be like, what are you going to do all day? Like, and you're driving how far? Like, what are you going to do in between that? Well, that's when they can meet, Dom.
Yeah.
When did you change that, and how did you change that in a minute? Can you do that?
Oh, yeah. Now, literally, I could get in my car and drive to the intersection that I was at when you were like, hold on, I'm getting Conrad on the phone. I'll be right back. And you were like, all right, Conrad, tell her what we just talked about. And I could drive right to that intersection. It is so memorable. Conrad literally said, okay, so you're the doctor page. When you call the doctor, do you tell them what time you can come? No. They tell you what time they have open, and you pick a time, right? I said, yeah. It sounded too good to be true. And he said, so what I say to them is any reason why you will not be home between 1 and 2 o'clock tomorrow. And if they say, nope, we'll be home, great, you booked the appointment. If they say, oh, yeah, we have a doctor's appointment. Oh, okay, well, how about in between 4:15 and 5:15? Okay, perfect. So I was literally just taking whatever time. Matter of fact, Dom, it's funny you mentioned this. Danielle called this out, Danielle Byrne called this out in our meeting today with a brand new agent who had told a lady he was completely free Saturday and Sunday, whatever time she could work. And she said, okay, so you have to always be busier than the client. And I was not like that. I was just like, whenever you can meet. When can you meet? I'll be there. If I have to, sell my second child off into slavery to be there, I will be there, whatever it takes.
Right.
So that was a whole new thing for me.
Yeah, and that's, and we're always learning. We're always learning new things, okay? And it's you're open to it. Does that make sense? Because you could have said, why are you calling Conrad? You could have. I'll figure it out. This is how I run my schedule. But you were open to getting better. And when you take yourself seriously and you're the boss, you're the doctor, your clients fall in line. They fall in line. So I want to thank you guys for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing. I know both of you will be at VP and above real soon. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know, and I'll be honored to hop on here again anytime. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Dom. Bye.